Welcome back to the Business Forum Show. I'm Kevin Hunter. My guest in studio with me today, Doug Anderson from New Customers Now, Minnesota, and the website is newcustomersnowmn.com. First of all, welcome to the show, Doug.
Thank you.
So start by explaining what New Customers Now, Minnesota is all about.
Okay. I specialize in getting new customer acquisition primarily for restaurants and other small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I work with auto repair and other things like that. And I subscribe to direct response marketing. So everything that I do is completely trackable.
Mm-hmm.
So they know what kind of redemption that they're getting at the end of a certain period of time, a month or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
And my preference is direct mail.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can target based on demographic information, proximity to the restaurant, those types of things. So we can choose the ideal customer.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing we have the ability to do is if they do keep a house list of customers, we can actually go in and do a profile of their existing customers and figure out who is the ideal customer. Is it certain age, certain income, how far out do they live from the restaurant, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. So could you talk a little bit about the step of identifying who they want to target with a market strategy? Because a lot of organizations have a great deal of weakness when it comes to that. And I was visiting just a moment ago with a previous guest about determining who that ideal client should be. And a lot of businesses that I talk to, when you ask them who their ideal client is for the organization, they'll say, well, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And we know how untrue that is. Yeah. So how do you help them figure that out?
Well, like I said, if they have already a list, we can actually do a profile on it to figure out who they are.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it is pretty much an educated guess as far as trying to figure out, approximately what age or income are they seeing coming within the restaurant. Obviously, they don't know what the income is, but you don't want somebody who can't afford to come to your place over and over again. So
sure.
we generally start off by testing a certain income. Maybe it's a household income of $50,000 and above, or whatever the case may be, and then we can test it usually over a month or two period and find out what kind of response rate we're getting.
Mm-hmm.
So typically with the programs that I do, at least for new customer acquisition, we're getting between 20 and 52% redemption.
Sure.
And so we can figure out, we can adjust offers, we can adjust demographics and stuff like that based on what we're finding out from the results. And the other thing is that everything that I have is trackable. So when they get something back, it has the name of who it is. So then we can go back in and do a profile on that if we need to, if
sure.
they don't already have it.
Sure. Well, if you wouldn't mind, Doug, I'd like to talk about your book a little bit. The title is The Customer Stream.
Mm-hmm.
And where would a client go to find a copy of the book?
Well, it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pretty much anywhere. I'm sure you can order it off of any bookstore as well.
Sure.
But primarily, it's available on Kindle as well. So,
okay. So what inspired you to write the book? What made you decide to publish The Customer Stream?
Well, part of it is there's a lack of understanding in the basic marketplace as far as how to market and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to give my overall philosophy as far as I believe every business should have a customer list.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk about that in the book and things like that. But then I also go in and talk about a lot of the different things I do. Most of the stuff that I have is already templated. It's already been tested and proven.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk about a lot of those different programs in there. And that way they can get an idea what it is and figure out if they want to work with me further.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that really the focus of your organization is with direct mail, new customer acquisition programs, and fulfillment. Some people aren't familiar with what a fulfillment program is. Can you just describe that in basic terms so people understand it?
Well, as far as fulfillment, obviously they want to for a restaurant, obviously the people coming into your store. That's the fulfillment.
Sure.
If you're working with an auto repair shop, it's people calling up and coming in and either having an oil change or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the fulfillment as far as what most of them see. If you're doing something where you're shipping stuff out, obviously, then you either do it yourself or you have a fulfillment company that would go out and send it out for you.
Sure. Okay. And so you mentioned that the direct marketing piece. So talk about some of the pieces that you've, and perhaps maybe some illustration of some success stories that you've used with the direct mail approach, and how you've generated a nice new client base for a business you may have been working with, based on the direct mail approach. And part of the reason why I pose this is that all of us, business people, consumers alike, are familiar with a lot of organizations that do some direct mail, but of course there's a lot of ineffective stuff out there. So my real question is using direct mail in an effective stance, how do you create differentiation between what you're doing and the direct mail that a lot of organizations might be basically sending? What one business person told me recently was a liner for his bird cage. But anyhow, how do you make a direct mail program work?
Well, there's a lot of little nuances that you have to look at. I like to use personalized direct mail. So my most popular program for new customer acquisition is I have access to everybody's birthday in the United States. So I like to send out a letter and a certificate inviting people into a restaurant for the month of their birthday. Now, a lot of restaurant people or clients, they have a preferred restaurant already, but we give them the entire month to redeem a program like that, because sometime during the month somebody's going to want to go out to eat, but they may already have the birthday laid out to go to their favorite restaurant.
Sure.
Currently. But that works really, really well, because now you're touching the heartstrings of the potential client. You know, they're curious. Well, how do they know my birthday? They come in and find, they want to find out, and they want to check out the place, and it's a risk-free offer to them, basically, to go out. Usually we offer them a free entree up to a certain dollar amount or whatever the case may be. But it's risk-free to the potential clients, and they love to test new places and stuff like that. So that's why it works really well. I've had clients that have been with me almost since the beginning, which was 2007, and I've had clients that have actually never gotten less than a 30% redemption. And
wow.
I've documented as high as 52%, although I have one client that says he's getting close to 90% of them back. I haven't seen the actual stack of certificates, but that's what he's saying, and I have no reason not to believe that he would say it, because most of the time people are underestimating what they're getting back versus what they're actually doing. I also like to provide my clients with a database or a little Excel spreadsheet so they can plug in the numbers and figure out what their redemption is. And we can figure out what their food cost is, so it actually gives them a return on investment. So the thing I like about it is that they can see that they're getting $3 or $4 or $5 back for every dollar that they spend. And it's a lot like if you were going to go to Las Vegas and you knew you were going to get $3 out of a machine, how much money would you bring with you?
Yeah.
You'd bring as much as you could.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I like about direct mail, is that it's scalable. You can test it small, and then you can ramp it up larger. So you don't have to actually go in and throw, 10,000 mailers out and not test to see if it's going to work. And that's what most people do. It's kind of that hope strategy. Oh, I'm going to put this out there and I'm hoping it's going to work. So I've also invented some other programs. I have a bounce back certificate that after they come in during the month of their birthday, we actually thank them for coming in. So we know, because the certificates have the name on it, we can go back through and check on who actually redeemed it. Now we can send a thank you to those people.
Sure.
And invite them back in. And now the customer knows that we know that they came in, and that makes them feel much more special because they feel appreciated. I also have another program that's actually belated birthday. So if they didn't come in during the month of their birthday, because we've tracked who did come in, now we know who didn't come in, we can send in a belated birthday certificate and get them in the next month. Because a lot of people have the intention of using the certificate. They sometimes misplace it, they forget about it, and all of a sudden they see it's expired, and
sure,
then they don't.
It's like, bummer, I missed out on the opportunity.
Yep. So.
I really like this sort of thing, because there's in the general idea of the birthday invite, and There's I've in fact just recently visited with a few business people that have had the idea that if you discount anything, that it's a bad thing for their organization, and they've kind of missed the whole point of this because, for example, in this case, if somebody is coming in for a birthday dinner, it's unlikely they're coming by themselves.
Correct.
Probably going to come with their family and whoever. And if for the people that do respond, and the business does what it should do, and that is provide a good meal and a good service and has a good value, we have somebody who's going to come back. You for very little expense, generated a possible ongoing future client. And good thinking there. Kevin Hunter here on the Business Forum Show. My guest is Doug Anderson from New Customers Now, Minnesota. You can find him on the web at newcustomersnowmn.com. Again, newcustomersnowmn.com. You can also contact him at 320-693-0699. 320-693-0699. Back in a moment.